Hey guys, I'm here with a really good XP farm to share with you. So after all the patches and nerfs to a lot of the dungeons, there's different ones that are good and bad now. And this one is going to be one of the best ones for XP. Now, there's things you can do with nightmare dungeons and stuff, which I'll cover in another video, that can also be good. But this one's the best. Just go to a dungeon and grind it, like for just straight XP. So this one is going to be down in the south of the map. So there is Kyovishan. It's south of there. Over here in the Toxic Ferns and Hawazar, there's the Ruins of Eridu. And it's also called the Rotting Halls. Now, what you're going to want to do, you can do this solo, you can do this in a team, and the main thing about this one is it's good for XP. You're not going to get a ton of legendaries when doing this one, but you'll still get a decent amount of legendaries. It's just a pretty good farm. But the biggest takeaway for this one is that your build kind of matters for this one. So it's going to be a good farm regardless of your build, as long as you can just do it, basically. But the big thing with this one is that builds that do all your damage in like a straight line are always going to be preferred, because you're going through narrow passageways having to kill enemies. So it's just better to have builds that go in a straight line. Like one AoE like mine is just circling up big enemies, groups of enemies, not as good. But either way, you're going to get to this point right here, and you're either going to go left or you're going to go right. So I'm going to go left. So it just always follows an exact pattern, which is another reason that it's a really good XP farm. Is because it's predictable. You can always do it the same way, basically, every time. So either go left or right at the junction, and then just circle your way around. So I'll go ahead and finish this one out. If you have a good build for this, then you could expect to do this in less than a minute, potentially. My build is not good for straight line groups of enemies like this, like going down narrow hallways. So it takes me like closer to 2 minutes a lot of the time. Like I'm not trying to go as fast as I possibly can right in a second. Like I'm just demoing it for you. But even when I go as fast as I can on this difficulty, it's still hard for me to do it in faster than like 90 seconds or something. But again, depending on your build, you can get different results. Straight line shot builds are way better. So good certain druid builds. The frost, ice shards, whatever it was, sorceress build, it can also be really good. So once you've done everything, you'll see here on the map, I've done it all. Now, you don't have to kill every single enemy. If you do, it's fine. If you don't, it's also fine. Once you've completed most of it or all of it, now you have to reset it, which is going to vary depending on solo or party. If you don't already know, then if you're in a party, you just leave the party, have someone else join the dungeon, then everybody join that person and repeat the dungeon. If you're playing solo, what you do is you leave dungeon, but something really important here, I highly recommend this. So when you go to leave game, so you leave the dungeon and leave game, do not press leave game. Just let it leave. And if enemies come and attack you and you think they're going to kill you, then cancel and kill those enemies, because a lot of enemies spawn at the door. If you leave game while enemies are on you and they kill you while you're, during that 10-second window, then you'll come back in, you'll be at a town. So you want to prevent that. So always just watch the counter go down and make sure you don't die when leaving game, or else you're going to lose a ton of time on your XP grind. It's going to become way less efficient. But once you leave game and come back into the solo, you just go back into the ruins again, and you grind it again and again and again and again. And this is one of the best, if not the best, XP farm right now for just straight XP. There's some things, like I said, I'll cover in later videos with nightmare dungeons that people are talking about right now. I'll probably cover it in my next video, or maybe tomorrow, hopefully, if I can get the motivation to work. But yeah, this one's just good for, you have just a straight up dungeon, no nightmare dungeon crap or any of that. You just grind out a dungeon. This one's going to be it. It is Ruins of Eridu. This one's insanely good. Tons of small enemies. And keep in mind, small enemies are better for XP farming than elite enemies. Like, elite enemies do give more XP than the smaller enemies, but they take, like, I don't know, it's harder to, unless you have an area where literally all the enemies are elite enemies, which literally doesn't happen, but it's better to just kill a bunch of small enemies. Faster, it's easier to group them up. They don't fight back as hard. They don't stun and do random things. But anyway, going on a whole tangent now. So just Ruins of Eridu, Rotting Halls. Go ahead and do that one. Leave game, come back in, repeat it. And that's going to be probably one of the best XP farms for a while. If they may patch things and change things in the future again. But for now, it's one of the best XP farms in Diablo 4.